Hello and welcome to the Bubble Hangout Digital Careers Clinic with me, Bubble Social Media Marketing Manager Lauren, and our Digital Marketing Manager Amy.
Okay, so this hangout happens once a month, and in it we're going to talk about all things digital. So we're going to place the highlight on some of our latest jobs, blogs, and we'll also be answering some of your digital career questions.
If you want to submit a question during the hangout, just click on the Q&A icon, which should be in the corner of your screen, and send us your query and we'll answer it during the advice section of the show.
Okay, so it's time to look at some of the jobs we've got on the site at the moment. And the first job we're going to look at is a job for Screwfix. Now they're looking for an event marketing manager in Yeovil. So if you've got a wide range of communication skills, you're confident with Excel, and you've got experience in multitasking, then this could be the job for you. If you are interested or want to find out more, just click on the link on your screen now.
Okay, and next up, the charity Compassion in World Farming are looking for a digital fundraising and direct marketing manager in Godalming in Surrey. So if you've got a passion for and an extensive experience of digital marketing techniques, a successful track record in traditional direct marketing and strong analytical skills, then this could be a really good role for you. So just click the link on your screen now to apply.
Okay, so next up, British Airways have got a few roles going in Heathrow. The first one is reporting and insight analyst, and they're also looking for a data strategist. So if you want to find out about any more of those roles, just click on the link on your screen.
Okay, also Telefonica are on the lookout for a senior digital designer in their head office in Slough. So this is a nice 12-month maternity cover role. So if you've got an excellent eye for design, extensive knowledge of Adobe Creative Suite, experience in managing and motivating a team, then this could be a really, really good position for you. So just click the link on your screen now to apply.
Okay, so now we're going to move on to some of the blogs that we've published on the site in the last month. The first blog we're going to discuss is one that talks about the do's and don'ts when you're applying for your first job in digital. Now, when you apply for your first job in the sector, it can be pretty overwhelming because you haven't got the experience to back your application up. You haven't really got any big names on your CV, so you kind of have to take a little bit of a different approach with it. The first thing that you definitely need to do is rework your CV. Rework it from the standard one that you've been using for any other industry. Well, there are a few reasons for this, but mainly the sector is really competitive. So you have to make sure your CV is 100% focused on the digital industry. The next thing you really need to do is research the company in a lot of detail. Again, you haven't got the big names to back up your application, so it's going to be your enthusiasm for the brand and the company you're applying for that's really going to make your application stand out. You obviously can research them on LinkedIn, on their careers pages, on the main website. You know, there are lots of ways you can do it, but you need to really know the company inside out, and you really need to demonstrate this in your cover letter. If the job's being advertised by a recruiter, obviously you're not going to know who the company is. So in this scenario, I'd say that you should study the job advert and see which words they use to describe the company, and then be sure to include these in your cover letter. For example, you could say, I'm really keen to work for a large retailer that's rapidly growing and that has won multiple awards. You know, it's just a way of kind of making your CV and your cover letter really relevant to the role. The next thing you need to do is demonstrate your passion for the sector. If you're moving into digital, obviously you don't have the experience again, so you need to demonstrate why you want to work in the sector, where your passions lie, and it's this enthusiasm that's really going to set you apart from the other candidates. In terms of your cover letter, as we've mentioned, you need to talk about the company, you need to talk about your passion for digital. So a generic cover letter really isn't a good idea. It just comes across as lazy, and it shows that you haven't really put any extra effort or thought into it. So would always suggest customizing your cover letter for the role you're applying for in digital. The next thing we're going to talk about is, if you are applying for jobs in digital and it's your first jobs in digital, you really need to look at the job spec and really consider whether you've got the skills and experience they're looking for. For example, if they want a junior web developer and you've never done any coding in your life, you have no idea about the basics of HTML and CSS, I'd really say don't even bother applying, because they'll need someone that's got that core experience. And if you do apply, you could end up just wasting everyone's time. And the last thing when you're applying for your first job in digital, would really advise you to clean up your digital footprint. We go on about this all the time at Bubble, but it's really important, more so in the digital sector than any others, because if you're applying for a job in digital marketing and content and social, then employers are going to look at your social media profiles. So if you've got a dodgy tweet on there, or a dodgy photo, you really need to get it deleted, lock up your privacy settings. You don't want that to let you down. So yeah, clean digital footprint. There are loads of blogs on this, on our blog, so be sure to check them out.
Yeah, definitely one of the most important points. Next up, I wrote a blog this month on 5 tips on acing a graduate scheme assessment centre. Now it's coming up to that time of the year now when recent grads from the year 4, or if you're currently a student, you're going to be looking at applying for some graduate schemes. And if you're successful, you'll be invited to one of these assessment centres. And assessment centres are similar in some ways, but obviously they're unique to each company that you're applying for. But they tend to include a number of exercises for the candidates, group exercises and one-on-one exercises, completing some tests and being interviewed by the employer. So how can you prepare for it? Well, first of all, you could practice psychometric tests. And psychometric tests are a large part of graduate scheme assessment centres, and these can include anything from numerical and verbal reasoning to diagrammatic reasoning and situational judgment. But if you do a quick Google search, then you should be able to find some sites with some free mock tests that you can carry out online, so you'll know what to expect. You won't be overwhelmed when you have to do it, and you'll know what kind of answers that you need to give. So it's just a really good idea, not so you don't get thrown as soon as you walk into the test room. Also, research the company that is holding the assessment centre. I know I said that some of them are quite similar, and they do have similar aspects, but each assessment centre is unique and tailored to the business. Have a look at sites like Glassdoor and forums like the Student Room, because they're people who've been to these assessment centres before. They'll share their experiences, so you'll know even better what to expect. And it's just good to be ahead of the game and do research, because it might be that you're more prepared than everyone else, and that might just be the difference between you getting the job above some other candidates. Also, don't be generic. When you're getting interviewed or when you're answering test questions, don't give the same answers as everyone else. I mean, it doesn't matter what kind of situation it is. Think about what makes you unique and what makes you stand out as a candidate, and base your answers on that. Because if you just say what you think the employer wants to hear, that's what everyone else is probably going to do. So you'll just sound the same as everyone else, and that's not going to get you the job, because that's not going to make you look like the best candidate. Also, don't be afraid to take charge. In the assessment centre, there's bound to be some group exercises where they are testing how you communicate and how you work well as part of a team. But they're also looking for leaders and people with leadership skills. So if you do feel comfortable taking charge of a task, then do so and show that you are confident and that you can lead the team. But if you're not someone who is naturally a leader, don't feel like you have to do this, because you don't want to put yourself under an undue amount of pressure, and then you'll just fall at the first hurdle. Then, I mean, this is just for someone who would feel comfortable leading a pack and leading an exercise. Finally, I'd say be professional. It might sound obvious, but during the day at the assessment centre, there's going to be some sort of social situations with the other candidates. And even though you might think, oh, well, this is like time out, and you can feel like you can relax, don't relax too much, because you don't know who's listening to what you're saying or who's still watching you. So just still be on your guard and act as if the employer is watching and is monitoring your moves, kind of thing. Also, it's going to be a really long day, and you're going to get tired, and you are going to feel a bit sluggish. But don't, go over and sit on the chair and sort of slouching over tables because you're tired. You have to act professional at all times, so make sure you're smart and sophisticated and always alert. There we go.
Okay, so now's part of the hangout where you get to ask us your digital questions about digital careers and jobs. If you would like to ask us a question, you can submit your question in the Q&A feature or in the chat box. Now, I've actually had a question in over the last couple of days in the lead up to this hangout, which we're going to discuss now. And that was, What definitely needs to go on my CV for a social media or a digital marketing role? Obviously, there are a number of things that need to go on your CV. The first one is links to all your social media profiles. As I mentioned earlier, if you're applying for this kind of job, then employers are going to check out your social media profiles. So if you include them on your CV, it means they're definitely going to look at the right one, and you're not going to be confused with someone else who hasn't bothered to tighten up their privacy settings and, you know, has been a bit naughty on social media. The next thing you need to include is links to any blogs that you've got. Blogging and copywriting is a large part of a lot of digital marketing and social media roles. So if you've already got experience of this, and it's definitely a good idea to include links on your CV. Obviously, this is one of the most important ones. If you've got commercial experience of digital marketing and social media, then these need to go on your CV, even if it's just volunteering for a charity or your local college or your local school. It's all commercial experience, so it's definitely worth putting on your CV. On this point as well, we've actually got a few blogs on the top 10 skills that employers look for in digital marketing managers and the top 10 skills that employers look for in social media managers, and these are on our blogs, so they're definitely worth checking out, but we'll include links to these in the Hangout description later on when it goes on YouTube.
Yeah. Also, we had another question in that was, how can I make my CV relevant to digital? Now, when you're making your CV relevant to digital, if you haven't got a lot of hard digital experience, work experience, then it's all kind of about transferring your existing skills in other jobs that you've had and making them relevant to the digital space. This is actually a lot easier than it sounds. If you haven't got any hard digital skills, you don't have to panic, because there are other skills that are very relevant to digital, as it is an evolving industry. A lot of people will be transferring from other careers into digital. For example, if you've worked in retail, then chances are you will have a lot of customer service experience, so you know how to engage with customers, deal with their problems, etc. And this is a really key part of digital account management and social media roles, which are both very customer facing and involve a lot of customer service. Also, if you've worked in a bar or a shop, then you'll know the stock inside out. You'll know what sells, what doesn't sell, what new products are needed, what will sell more if you order it in, etc. Buying and merchandising roles in digital are very similar to this, and these are the type of skills that you could translate if you wanted to go into a job like that. You could show this on your CV. It's just all about tweaking your CV towards the digital sector. I mean, you just need to assess your prior skills, look at a job spec of the job you're applying for, and see which of your skills could translate into digital. I mean, obviously, it's always a good idea to try and get as much relevant digital experience as you can, whether it's internships, volunteering, work experience, whatever. But there are other ways of going about it. So I hope that answers your question.
Okay, so I think that's it for today's Hangout. Thank you for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed it. Links to all the jobs and the blogs that we've mentioned will be included in the Hangout description later on YouTube when we post it up. So I think that's it for this month.
Yeah, so thanks for watching, and we will see you next month for next month's Hangout for April. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.